Hello everyone and welcome to E2 Language Core Skills lecture. Today we're going to be looking at vocabulary. I know that normally on Wednesdays Jay does grammar, but we're switching it up this week. So today I'll be doing vocabulary and Jay will be back with grammar on Friday. Can you all hear me okay? Just type in yes into the chat box. Okay, great. So welcome to you all. In today's vocabulary lesson, we're going to be looking at gerunds versus infinitives. So this is something that a lot of English learners make mistakes with. So today, hopefully, we're going to demystify these and you'll feel more comfortable using gerunds and infinitives correctly. So what's the difference between these two sentences? He stopped to smoke and he stopped smoking. So here we have the infinitive of to smoke, to plus the verb, and here we have the gerund smoking, which is ing. There is a difference in meaning, and here is an example. We can see that this guy was working and he stopped working to go outside and have a cigarette. So he stopped what he was doing to smoke. He stopped smoking means he quit smoking. He gave up cigarettes. So he stopped to smoke means he was doing an action and then he stopped that action to do another one. And he stopped smoking means he gave up or he quit the habit. Okay, so we can see that using either the gerund or the infinitive in this case can make a difference in meaning. So what is a gerund? A gerund, as we saw, is a verb that has an ing ending. And an infinitive is a verb that has to. So to smoke, to read, to eat, to sleep. So what's the difference between these sentences? We have the gerunds and the infinitives. So I like reading versus I like to read. I like eating cake versus I like to eat cake. I like going to the movies versus I like to go to the movies. And I don't like driving in the rain versus I don't like to drive in the rain. So is there any difference between the meanings of these sentences? No, there is no difference. These all have the same meaning. So a lot of the time we can use gerunds and infinitives interchangeably, meaning I can say I like to eat chocolate or I like eating chocolate, and there's no difference in the meaning. It's just a different way of expressing the same idea. But there's always a but in English, as you all know by now. There are always exceptions. So let's have a look at some words that are always followed by a gerund. So we have appreciate. So I appreciate you coming to the class today. I can't say I appreciate you to come to the class today. Avoid. People should avoid eating high-fat foods. We can never say avoid to eat high-fat foods. Enjoy. Enjoy is always followed by a gerund. I enjoy eating cake. I enjoy going to the cinema. I enjoy watching movies. We can never say I enjoy to watch movies. Finish also is always followed by a gerund or ing ending verb. I have finished doing my homework. I have finished watching the movie. Imagine living on another planet. Okay, involve. The research involved investigating eating habits of fish. Mention also always takes gerund or ing ending verb. She didn't mention going to the movies yesterday. Or she didn't mention seeing him at the party. Suggest is always followed by a gerund. I suggest eating more vegetables. I suggest talking to your friends more often. Miss. I miss seeing them every day. I miss speaking to my friends every day. I miss going to the beach because I don't get to go much often anymore. And mind. I don't mind helping you if you need help. I don't mind visiting you next week. Okay, so this is obviously not an exhaustive list of verbs that are followed by gerund. I've just chosen 10 that are common and that you might come across. So these words are always followed by an ing verb. Let's have a look at some example sentences. Studies show people who appreciate listening to opera music are more intelligent. I cannot say studies show people who appreciate to listen, okay, because the verb appreciate is always followed by a gerund. Avoid. Animals and plants must continuously evolve to avoid going extinct. I can't say avoid to go. Enjoy. A recent study shows that people who enjoy playing Pokemon Go might be expressing their inner hunter. So enjoy playing, enjoy doing, enjoy eating. Okay, always enjoy takes a gerund. The same with finish. Gorillas may call to their group mates to know when it is time to finish eating. We can't say finish to eat. Imagine living in the confines of a dark castle and then having to venture to find food. This is the life of a honeybee. Imagine always takes or is followed by an ing verb. Involve. Research has found that rats match humans in decision making that involves combining different sensory cues. So involves is always followed by a gerund. Mention. Researchers asked participants not to mention drinking habits as part of a new study. Health professionals suggest exercising for 30 minutes a day for better heart health. So suggest is always followed by a gerund verb. We can't say health professionals suggest to exercise. Okay, it must be ing. The same thing with miss. Many former doctors miss working with patients. Research shows that those who don't mind helping others are happier in their own lives. So mind is always followed by an ing verb. Okay, so here were some examples of verbs that are always followed by a gerund. Now we're going to look at verbs that are always followed by an infinitive. Infinitive is to plus the base form of the verb. For example, want. I want to go to dinner. I want to see that movie. I want to visit my family. Intend. I intend to pass my test. Plan. I plan to go overseas next year. I can't say I plan going. Must be I plan to go. Agree. They agreed to meet next week. Demand. The government demanded, or the people demanded, to see the prisoners released. Hope. I hope to see you pass your test. Promise. I promise to help you pass your test. Choose. You need to choose, or we should each day choose to be happy. And offer. They offered to help each other. And decide. They decided to visit their family. So here are some examples. Again, it's not an exhaustive list, but these are words that are only ever used with infinitive, never with gerund. Let's look at these in sentences. Want. Research shows that if you want to improve your memory, you should go to the gym. We can never say research shows that if you want improving your memory, because want here is only ever followed by an infinitive. The same thing with intend. Scientists intend to focus on snow and sleet to study Finland's weather conditions. Plan. Mexico plans to reduce air pollution with a new emission policy. We can't say plans reducing, it must be plans to reduce. The government has agreed to invest in solar-powered vehicle production. The tax department demanded to see the billionaire's financial records. So demand always is followed by an infinitive verb. Scientists hope to achieve higher recovery rates from brain trauma thanks to a new device. So hope to achieve. We can never say hope achieving, because hope always takes an infinitive. Promise. Governments have promised to contribute to global energy solutions. Choose. Quails choose to lay their eggs in locations that are camouflaged. Offer. A new dating study has found that 39% of women hoped men would reject their offer to pay on the first date. Decide. Hyena's ability to help them decide whether to fight or flee. So decide to fight, decide to flee. We can never say decide fighting or decide fleeing, because decide always takes infinitive. Okay. I have a task for you to complete. I'd like you to choose the correct form, gerund or infinitive, to complete the sentences. So in these sentences, you're given a choice of either the gerund or infinitive, and they're all following verbs that we have just looked at. So see if you can correctly complete these sentences. Okay, let's have a look at your answers. Study finds that people who enjoy watching horror films are more creative. Enjoy is always followed by a gerund. Scientists hope to find signs of life on another planet. Hope is always followed by infinitive. The language that doctors use with patients can help determine whether these patients agree to participate in clinical trials. Agree is always followed by infinitive. The study involved going deep into the Amazon in search of a rare cure. Involved always takes gerund, and a new study suggests that eating 5 vegetables a day can reduce the risk of heart disease. So suggests is always followed by gerund. So well done, everybody. I think everyone got 5 out of 5 for that one. Next task is a little bit more challenging. Complete the sentences using the correct form, gerund or infinitive. Now, I've got the verbs here. I've got an extra verb. So there's 5 sentences and 6 verbs. So one of these you won't be using. It's just put in there to confuse you. You will need to not just choose the correct verb, but also choose it the correct form. So should it be in gerund or should it be in infinitive? Okay, let's check our answers. A new study investigates how neurons decide to transmit information to the brain. Decide always takes the infinitive. Decide to transmit. I decided to go. I decided to quit. He decided to leave. So decide always takes infinitive. People who appreciate reading poetry were found to be more sensitive. Appreciate always takes gerund. I appreciate hearing the truth. I appreciate seeing you enjoy yourselves. To avoid insomnia, you should avoid exercising at least an hour before bed. So avoid is one of the verbs that is followed by gerund. Most people avoid going to the dentist. They crossed the road to avoid seeing each other. Okay. Some people avoid reading books and prefer to watch the movie. Okay, so avoid takes ing. Global experts call on UN to mobilize a global action plan to increase access to antibiotics. So plan to increase, plan to go, I plan to see the movie, I plan to travel next year. So plan always takes or is followed by infinitive. And then finally we had marine biologists have found that young male sharks don't want to leave home. Again, want always takes infinitive. Want to leave, I want to go, I want to eat, I want to sleep, I want to see that movie, I want to go to Paris. So we can never say I want going or they don't want leaving. Okay, next, gerund or infinitive. So we've had a look at verbs that are always followed by gerund or verbs that are always followed by infinitive. But sometimes verbs can be followed by a gerund or an infinitive, but it changes the meaning. So remember, forget, regret, and stop are just a few examples of verbs that can be followed by either gerund or infinitive, but the meaning will change. So let's look at remember. Did you remember to call your mother? Remember to call. Oops, I forgot. I forgot to call my mother. It means I didn't call her. Okay, I forgot to call her. I didn't call her. I didn't complete this action. What about, do you remember calling your mother? I don't remember calling her. I did call her, but I don't remember calling her. I forgot doing this action. So remember followed by infinitive or gerund will change the meaning. Regret is another one of these. I regret to inform you that you did not get the job. Now, when you say something like this, I regret to inform you, I regret to tell you, I regret to let you know, it's a polite way of giving somebody bad news. Okay, I regret to tell you that your flight has been delayed. So you're offering somebody bad news, and by saying regret to infinitive is a way of politely informing them. What about I regret giving? I regret giving you the responsibility because you have really let me down. This means that I really regret, I wish that I did not give you that responsibility. I gave you the responsibility and you did not do what I expected. So I really regret giving it to you. So I regret to tell, I regret to give. It's a polite way of giving someone bad news, but I regret giving or I regret telling, it means that you wish you had not done something or you wish something had not happened. Forget. Johnny forgot to feed the fish while I was away. He forgot to feed the fish, so he did not feed them. The fish went hungry. Johnny forgot feeding the fish and fed them again by mistake. So here we have forgot plus gerund. This means that Johnny actually did feed the fish, but he forgot that he did it. So he did it a second time by mistake. So forget with gerund or infinitive changes the meaning of the sentence. All right, task. Fill in the blank with either gerund or infinitive. They stopped talking or they stopped to talk. Okay, the answer to this one is they were walking on the street and they stopped to talk. Okay, so they stopped for the purpose of talking. What about this one? They stopped to talk or they stopped talking? Very good. Here, they actually stopped talking. They were talking to each other and then they stopped talking. So this is very similar to smoking. They stopped to smoke means they were walking along the street and then they stopped to smoke. They stopped to have a cigarette. Or if I say they stopped smoking, it means they quit. Just like here, they quit talking to each other. Okay, final task. I'm going to show you a dialogue. And in this dialogue, there are 7 mistakes in gerund or infinitive. See if you can identify the mistakes, and also I'd like you to try to fix them. So here's the dialogue. Hi, Peter. Did you remember speaking to Janet yesterday? Oh, sorry, Sam. I forgot calling her. Again, what's wrong with you? I'm going to stop to ask you to do me any favors. Don't be like that. I don't mind to do things for you. It's just that I've been really busy. That's not really my problem. If you promise doing it today, I'll ask you calling Janet before 6. I don't intend letting you down. Okay, 7 mistakes there. See if you can fix them. I'll give you about 5 minutes for this. Okay, before we have a look at our answers, this dialogue, you can understand the meaning of what Sam and Peter are saying, but when you read it and you read these errors, it sounds like somebody who's a non-native speaker wrote it. So incorrect use of gerunds or infinitives can affect the native-like sound of your speaking and the native-like look of your writing. So although the meaning is still clear, the native-like sound of the writing or speaking is affected by it. So let's have a look at how we can make this more native-looking. Hi, Peter. Did you remember to speak to Janet yesterday? Oh, sorry, Sam. I forgot to call her. Again? What's wrong with you? I'm going to stop asking you to do me any favors. Don't be like that. I don't mind doing things for you. It's just that I've been really busy. That's not really my problem. If you promise to do it today, I'll ask you to call Janet before 6. I don't intend to let you down. So, how did you guys do with this? I saw that a lot of you made the correct fixes. So if you have any questions about the corrections, feel free to type them into the chat box. So most of you got a lot of these right, and a lot of it is from context. You are able to tell, to see, that doesn't really sound right, or that sounds a bit off. Okay, and that comes down to really exposing yourself to the language. So reading as much as you can to see when gerunds, when infinitives are used. A lot of the time, even native speakers don't know the rules. And in this case, there are no rules. There's no reason why we can't say ask calling. There's no rule for that, why it's asked to call. These are just things that we have to remember and familiarize ourselves with through more exposure to the language. Okay, so what I suggest that you can do to practice is to grab an article, go on to Science Daily or National Geographic or any kind of magazine or newspaper that you like to read. And as you read, take note of any time you see gerunds or infinitives, highlight them or underline them, look at the sentences, see how they're used, and then try to replicate them in sentences on your own. You'll become much more natural at using these correctly. So thank you guys. Well done. Great job. And see you next time.